Let's make some sheep milk Colby cheese with red pepper flakes. Come on. All right, so here is our equipment that we need to make this cheese. The toddler is optional. Your equipment can look a little different from this. That's okay, just use what you have. I've got my pot going behind me here. I'm going to boil all my equipment for about 10 minutes, get it nice and clean. Got my clean rag and tongs there to pull everything out of the boiling water and let it air dry. And yeah, just waiting now. Okay, so I'm at 90. I'm gonna go ahead and turn this off. I have my clabber cubes here. This is sheep milk clabber that I froze into ice cubes a while back. And they're 1 tablespoon each, so I'm using 4 for a 1/4 cup. I'm gonna go ahead and let those melt in, and then I will add my rennet. Here's my rennet. I'm going to use a 1/4 teaspoon. Dilute it in a little water. So I'm just stirring in my rennet with an up and down motion without breaking the surface. I'm going to do this for about 30 seconds to a minute, and then I'll put the lid on and I'm going to let it rest so I can wait for a clean break. I'll come back after about 30 minutes and check it for a clean break. All right, I'm going to go ahead and just try to stop the motion. That looks pretty good. It's been about 30 minutes. Let's take a peek in our pot and see if we can get a clean break yet. Oh, yes. Not even close. Let's give it another half hour. It's been another 30 minutes. Let's take the lid off and see if we have a clean break yet. Still looks liquidy. You can see there's my cut from earlier. So it does look like maybe it's sunk below the whey. So you're going to slip it in, pop it up. It's still a little thin. I might give it another 15 minutes. I'm not exactly sure what is going on. I'm not getting a super great clean break. The curd itself is pretty soft, which normally is not the case with sheep milk. Normally sheep milk sets up into a very dense curd. Part of me is wondering if it's not to do with the milk that I used. So here's my little rant. Don't be like Sari. I am using frozen milk, which there is nothing wrong with using frozen sheep milk to make cheese, yogurt, cream cheese, all the things. What matters is when you have your fresh sheep milk and you put it in the freezer, it needs to be the freshest milk possible. Get it in the freezer as soon as possible. Don't let it sit in your fridge for a week and then freeze it, or you're going to have issues with separation. The gallon of sheep milk that I put in there, it did have a little bit of separation, which happens. So I'm not sure if that wasn't very fresh milk, or the other thing is I pulled that out of the freezer quite a while ago to thaw, and then life got busy and I didn't get to it. So it's been sitting in my fridge for quite some time, which also could explain the separation. Case in point, don't be like me. Use fresh milk, or as fresh as possible milk always. That will always yield the best result and not questionable results like I'm having. Okay, third time's the charm. It's been another 15 minutes. Let's go see what we got. All right, you can see, sorry about the shadow, that it has kind of sunk down under the whey. Let's give this a try here. Okay, I think that looks pretty good. Let's proceed with cutting our curd into 1-inch cubes. I'm gonna do a set of cuts, wait 5 minutes, do a set of cuts this way, and then my undercuts waiting 5 minutes for them to heal in between each one. And you can see I am just the best, most even cutter ever. Don't worry about it, don't stress. It'll be fine. Okay, let's give it 5 minutes to heal and we'll come back and do our next set of cuts. On to cut 2. Okay, in the last series of cuts, which is really hard to see because it's sunk underneath the way. So a little bit of guesswork here. I'm gonna go ahead and start stirring these and heating them up. I'm gonna put my thermometer back in so I can check my temperature. Okay, so we wanna get these up to 105 degrees over about 45 minutes. And I can see, it looks like I've stayed pretty close to my target temperature. We're at 88 degrees right now. So we're going to be raising it about 17 degrees. That's about 1 degree every 2.5 minutes. I'm just gonna set my timer for 45 minutes and keep an eye on my thermometer to make sure I'm not raising it too fast. If I am, I'll just turn the heat off. Right now, I'm just gonna turn it on low, maybe. There we go. And I'm gonna start stirring very gently with my hands. I'm just gonna bring the curds up and try to cut the ones that I didn't get cut with my knife. Oof, these are just kinda falling apart. Oh boy. So I think I'm gonna leave these. I'm not even gonna stir them. They're really, just really soft. I'm not sure why, but I don't want to stir them more and shatter them. I'm just gonna lose too much weight, and then it's gonna be a really dry cheese, which is not how Colby is supposed to be. I think actually I'm just gonna turn my heat off and just let these sit for the first 5 minutes. Let them continue to firm up a little bit since, I don't know, they're having a mind of their own. It's been 5 minutes. I'm gonna go ahead and turn the heat on and start trying to stir, and we're just gonna go with it and see what happens. So you can see it's just mush. They didn't really, I have a few cubes, but even those just want to fall apart into mush. It's a little depressing, especially on camera, but you know what? This happens. This is part of it. I'm not gonna just post when things go perfectly because, you know, that's just not real life, and I don't want somebody else who's learning how to make cheese to feel bad because whenever they watch a video, everything goes perfectly, and when they attempt it, you know, things go wrong. I don't ever want somebody to feel like they're a failure because things didn't go according to plan. It happens to everyone, I promise you. Sure, it's not fun when it happens, but you know what? It's just part of life, and you're never gonna get better or learn from your mistakes if you don't just go for it. So every cheese is salvageable. We'll just continue on with this and we'll see what we can make with it. And you know what? Worst case scenario, it'll feed the pigs or the chickens. And this right here is exactly why every milkmaid, every cheesemaker should have pigs, because it's inevitable. It will happen no matter what you do. So, and if it doesn't happen to you, well then I guess count yourself lucky. So I am right about halfway through my 45 minutes of stirring here. So I'm stirring a lot less than normal just because these curds are very small, they're very fragile. So I'm basically only stirring them when I turn the heat on to raise the temperature. To show you here, you can see just how small these curds are. Make sure you check underneath the thermometer so you don't get any curds hiding back there and then getting cooked on the bottom. you can see there, kind of, maybe, can you see this? There's a curd here. See, it's still kind of shiny. So there's probably some in here that still need to cook a bit. In the meantime, I went ahead and I boiled some water in this pot. That's what we're going to be washing our curd with. Now, I went ahead and boiled it just to be on the safe side because I already have some things kind of working against me here today. I do not remember if the last time that I made this Colby, if I boiled the water first or if I just heated it to the same temperature and used it like that. This is where keeping notes, a cheese making journal, is so important. I'm going to preach this to you because I don't do this and I wish I would remember. Actually, what I'm really good about doing is writing things down at the beginning of the cheese making process, and then I get busy and I forget to finish and then I'm mad at myself. So again, don't be like me. So I wanted to show you here. Here is my cheese making notebook. And so I just try to make notes of everything that I'm doing, how old the milk was, just any, if I'm doing anything different, whether I boiled the water I'm going to wash my curds with, whether I boil the red pepper flakes, because these are all things that I don't remember if I did them last time or not. So, write it down because you will forget. Down to the last 5 minutes of stirring. I've just got my hands in here gently stirring. I have it on low heat. I've just hit 102 degrees. We need to be at 105. So I'm just going to leave it on low heat and continue to gently stir these last 5 minutes until we hit that target temperature. And then I'm going to let the curds collect under the whey, let them sit for about 15 minutes so they can all condense or kind of knit together a little bit. So then I can scoop off a bunch of the whey and add the same amount of water back in to begin the washing process. Ideally, you're going for a bean size curd. I am much smaller than that here. It's for some that have kind of stuck together. So, you know, do what you can do. It's not an ideal situation, but we're gonna make the best of it. It'll work. It'll be fine. Let's try squeezing them. A big handful there. Nice peaks, and they crumble apart. So I think these look good. Or at least as good as they can be, given the situation. We're gonna call it good. Okay, we're all done stirring, so let's go ahead and set the timer for 15 minutes and let those curds settle to the bottom of the pot. Meanwhile, I have this water here, and it's still at about 120 degrees, which is too warm. So let's run this out to the garage where it's nice and cold and help it cool off a little bit. Look at that. It's warmed up to 6 below zero, 16 below zero wind chill. Nice and balmy compared to when I started the cheese. Got a little bit of snow, but not too much yet. I see no sheep, no cows. They say, nope, we're not coming out today. My curds have been sitting under the whey for 15 minutes. I'm going to go ahead and scoop some of the whey off, replace it with water, stir it for 2 minutes, and then let the curds settle again. Got my sieve that I'm going to slide in here just so I don't accidentally get any of those little guys pulled out. We're just going to pull the whey off down to the surface of the curds. So I can tell already this whey, it's not very clear. It's a little milky, which tells me I probably lost a fair amount of cream.
buddy. Got your boots off.
I'm picking your nose.
Yeah.
It's not very sanitary.
Yeah, that's boogers in it.
Well, go get a tissue. It's finally time to get the curds in the mold. Actually, this is a fairly fast cheese, especially if you get a clean break when you're supposed to. My cheesecloth is still wet from when I boiled it. I just wrung it out a little bit. So add your curds, smooth out any wrinkles in your cheesecloth. That's what I'm doing here. And then add your follower, and you're going to press it at just a light pressure. I think I was at approximately 5 to 10 pounds of pressure for 30 minutes. "30 minutes have gone by. It's time to flip, redress, and press again. And all that means is I'm going to take the press apart, pull the cheese out, flip it over, put it back in the cheesecloth, back in the mold, put the press back together, and press it again for another half an hour.
Boom, boom, boom. Taka, taka. Boom, boom, boom. Taka, taka. Taka, taka.
Okay, hold on. No, if I really need your naked little body helping. You can see here, well, the mold is kind of in the way, but you can see that the cheese is holding together. It's not falling apart, but it's still, you can still easily see all of the curds. Now on the bottom there, you can see it's knit together pretty well, and this is exactly why we flip it over. So now the top, which is now on the bottom, can knit together, and then as it presses overnight, the sides will also knit together. I'm going to increase the pressure just a little bit. I'm going to press it at 20 pounds for about another half hour. Okay, it's been about an hour. Let's take this out and see how it looks. Going to flip it and redress it, and then we'll leave it in the press for 8 hours until bedtime.
Till bedtime.
Time to salt the cheese. Use 1 tablespoon of salt per pound of cheese. Cover and let sit at room temperature to air dry.
Hi guys.
This is the next morning. I'm just dipping it in a little way and adding a little more salt because I realized I didn't add quite enough last night. Plus, I'm adding some of the leftover salt that was on the plate.
I want that whip.
You can rub it in if you want. You're getting dirty?
Mommy, I'm sitting dirty.
It's okay. We'll wash your hands. Okay, yep, we just want to rub it in really good, like this.
Dad.
What are you doing?
I'm rolling. Mommy's rolling.
Okay.
Mommy, what is it?
I pulled this little guy out Monday night after about 8 hours of pressing. Well, I think it was like 9 hours total. And I thought it looked really good, really well knit together. And then I went ahead and salted it, and I just sprinkled salt on top and rubbed it all in. I usually brine, and after I did this, I remember why, because it's so much less messy. Surface salting just kind of makes a mess. Anyway, I made sure I did it over a plate, so any excess salt that fell off later on, I went and tried to rub it back in so I could get all of the salt on there. I left it, I've been leaving it sit out to air dry, and it is now Wednesday afternoon, so it's not quite been out. It'll be tonight, will be 48 hours, 2 days. Upon closer inspection, now that it's dried, you can kind of see where the curds knit together on the sides. I'll see if I can, I don't know if you'll be able to see that. So it's not bad, but there's just some little cracks. I wouldn't say it's a candidate for a natural rind aging. I am going to vacuum seal this cheese. You could also wax it. It's nice and dry, so I'm going to go ahead and vacuum seal this, put it down in the basement for 6 weeks, and then we'll cut into it and see how it looks. Maybe even smoke it. I don't know. Got it vacuum sealed. Let's run it down to the basement.